What a fucking car.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
What gear was that?
Second.
That was second? God damn.
We are in one of the best cars ever made, and one of my favorite cars of all time, the CLK63 AMG Black Series. This car is a race car for the street, completely undervalued. One of the things that we always talk about on our YouTube channel and with clients and collectors is just because a car is expensive doesn't mean it's an incredible car. There's so many really great undervalued cars and so many great cars that aren't even that expensive, and this car is one of them. This is one of the perfect cars that you can daily drive. They've held their value pretty well, and they're just awesome. There's no rear seats. The front fenders are carbon fiber. The engine is absolutely remarkable. 500 horsepower V8, normally aspirated. That's just all torque and horsepower, and it sounds basically perfect. What's probably the most cool part about this car is the handling and steering. I mean, the steering is so precise, it's almost surgical, and the suspension is so stiff. I mean, you feel every bump. You feel like you're in a race car. I mean, the car barely gets traction, second, third gear, and it's so damn fast. It's pretty much perfect. Now, I actually have a very interesting history with this car. Actually, I should say these cars. This car we actually sold to a collector a few years ago. He put it away. I told him that it would be a great example of a car to add to a collection, thinking long term. I believe there were only 300 or 350 of these cars made for the US, so they're very rare. They're obviously, as I've mentioned, they're awesome to drive and fairly comfortable. So the seats are, they hug your body and they're like a racing seat. But it's not too uncomfortable like maybe a GT3 RS with racing seats or something like that. So that's also what I love about this car. So if you know a little bit about my history, I actually, probably almost 12 to 15 years ago, after producing car shows, I opened up an exotic car rental business. And in that exotic car rental business, I had this crazy idea to buy all these like sort of race-inspired cars. So a Lamborghini Superleggera, Porsche 997 twin turbo, etc., etc. Two of the cars that I ended up with were two CLK63 AMG Black Series cars. Now, it was sort of funny because at the time, they were sort of really underappreciated, and I can't tell you that I don't think I ever actually rented one of the Black Series to a client that was coming to Miami for the weekend. The cars literally just sat. But whenever we would host a track event or whenever we would host a track day, we'd have our 430 coupes, which was at the time the latest, greatest Ferrari. We'd have our Superleggera and our Gallardo Spider. We'd have other cars like a 997 twin turbo, blah, blah, blah. And we'd have our CLK63 AMG Black Series. At the end of the day, after all the drivers or clients or even, well-known race car drivers would try all of our cars at the track events, they would always end up fighting to drive this car at the end of the day. That's how well it was balanced. That's how much fun this car was. I mean, literally, when you touch the gas pedal, it's just all over the place, and it's sort of like shooting a rocket off. Once the car sort of gets traction, you can feel the traction control kick on. It just hauls butt. If I was in a different place in my life, I just had a newborn, my wife would probably kill me if I bought any more cars. I would definitely be daily driving a CLK63 Black Series. They're just perfect cars. This specific car, I had mentioned that we had sold it to a client a few years ago. A good client of ours out of the Midwest asked me about these cars, and when he asked me, my immediate response was, okay, you have to add one to your collection. I know of where there's one. So it's sort of funny. I took the car out. We're putting new tires. We're fixing a few things. We actually have to fix the rear carbon fiber lip. And there's, just so you know, there's carbon fiber all over this car. The rear diffuser, the front bumper. It's just really that cool. And as I had the car out and I'm driving it and I'm just making sure that the car is ready for its new owner, I realized, do I really want to be selling this car? I mean, it's just that good. So I'm definitely going to miss this one. CLK63 AMG Black Series. For all of our fans that always ask me, what's the best car for the money or what's the best daily driver? This is it. And it just sounds so damn good.